Mr. Ambassador, thank you for accepting our invitation.
Thank you for coming.
So, do you feel that the United Nations, the European Union, and the US are doing enough to help the plight of the people suffering war and ravage in Ukraine?
Well, first of all, I have to say that people of Ukraine is deeply grateful for all the efforts, for all the assistance that we've been getting from our partners, from our friends in the West, from the European Union, including Cyprus, from the United States, from the United Kingdom, from many, many other countries that help us stand against the aggression. This is extremely important. Every day of the aggression, unprovoked aggression against Ukraine increases human sufferings, increases the number of those killed, primarily civilians in Ukraine. This is the most horrible aggression since the Second World War, and this is happening in Europe.
So, do you think they could do more, or what do you feel they could do more?
They have introduced an unprecedented array of sanctions. Even countries who have been for a long time neutral, Switzerland, they have introduced sanctions. They have joined the West in pressing Russia to stop the aggression. Of course, sanctions work, but we need more. We need sanctions to be absolutely strong to stop the aggression right now. This is absolutely important to understand that Ukraine failing today would mean invasion against the European Union, against the Western world tomorrow. We need sanctions now. We need more sanctions now. We need more efforts to stop the aggression. I'm absolutely sure that we have not exhausted the potentials of sanctions as of today.
But I'm sure that you know that sanctions don't yield much of an impact quickly. So,
many sanctions.
Meanwhile, lives are being lost in Ukraine. So, what do you see can be done to deter the invader, the aggressor?
I say that we have to look into all existing possibility to stop the aggression. Again, I can repeat that we have not exhausted the potential of sanctions that are in our possession, that are in the possession of the Western countries.
Can you be more specific, sir?
I can say that closing the airspace in Europe makes it very hard to stand and makes Russia suffer. I believe that closing airspace in Ukraine would make a difference, would be an efficient tool. And this is something, this is not the only one tool that we have in our possession. But again, we should look into all existing possibilities to use all the means we have, all the tools we have to stop the aggression. You rightly said that sanctions might be, to the greater extent, efficient in the long run, but this is an unprecedented aggression which demands unprecedented steps to take to stop it.
Mm-hmm. Although, on the other hand, there are countries that feel that certain actions might lead to a third world war.
Again, the time has come to take a stand. The time has come to understand that we shouldn't let Russia intimidate us. Blackmailing is there. We understand that we have to be strong. We should not let Russia continue intimidating the world. We should not let them continue bullying us. we should take concrete actions to stop the aggression. I wouldn't be in a position to speculate what might trigger the use of the nuclear weapons or whatever. So, but
Why do you think we are in this certain situation now and not last year or the year before? What triggered Russia's action?
we have to look into the history of the aggression. Actually, the aggression started back in 2014. And we have many in the West, many of our friends realize that we've been dealing with absolutely different type of a country. This is something that came very late into the understanding of many. Russia has been testing for many years, testing the ability of the West to stand against the aggressive actions. So we can recall aggressive war against Georgia, we can recall aggressive steps by Russia against Ukraine during those two people's revolutions in Ukraine. But the Revolution of Dignity in 2015 made the turning point. It's extremely important to understand that there is no way out in terms of business as usual. This is a new reality. New reality requires new approaches, new decisions to take.
Mm-hmm. So, how realistic was your president's request to the EU for immediate accession? Having in mind that there are criteria, economic and others. So, do you expect an immediate response?
How realistic we were not to believe that Russia would invade Ukraine. And as I said, today we deal with unprecedented challenges in Europe, unprecedented security challenges. So unprecedented threat, unprecedented challenge requires unprecedented actions. We do believe that the strong decision has to be made with respect to Ukraine joining the European Union.
So, do you still believe, sir, that joining NATO will secure and help the safety of the country, or would you be willing to put this on hold in order to reach some sort of an agreement?
First of all, NATO aspiration is clearly in our constitution, and it's clear and it's strong. Any decision to change that stance is up to the people of Ukraine. That is that easy to respond.
On the other hand, you are on a table trying to negotiate. So is this something negotiable or not?
As far as the negotiations are concerned, so we see that the first try to have initial discussion as to the settlement of the situation, which would primarily have to deal with stopping the aggression. Actually, the first touch was under the shelling, despite the fact that Lukashenko promised that there would be no shelling. So we still have to see what the negotiations will be, what the discussion would be, what will be the issues would be at the table. But I don't think that, again, when it comes to the NATO aspiration, this is the legislation of Ukraine, this is the constitution of Ukraine. Whatever has to be, whatever decision to be taken is up to the people of Ukraine to take. And that.
Yes, but do you accept the argument that Russia also is trying to secure the country and does not have the will to have NATO in the neighborhood and on the borders?
Russia has been telling the West that it needs the security guarantees. But look at what is happening. The aggressor state needs security guarantees. This is exactly the opposite. Ukraine under attack. West has been going through the security challenges. We need guarantees that this kind of invasion, this kind of threat out of Russia wouldn't be possible. So this is absolutely different perspective, different understanding, which is right. Mm-hmm. This is about the aggressor state, which brings threats, security threats, to the European continent.
Allow me this direct question, Mr. Ambassador. Is there any kind of threat for the Russian minority in your country?
One would immediately ask the definition of Russian minority in Ukraine. If this is the old narrative of Russians about Russian-speaking people, so this is absolutely false. This is a false propaganda. We have Russian-speaking people not only in Donbass, in central, in southern Ukraine. Russian language is nothing to do with what is happening now.
And they are not under threats by Nazist teams or organizations.
Okay, are you able to name at least one of those, as you said, Nazist organizations? I don't know. This is a Russian propaganda, which is absolutely false. They would be to name one would bring us to the understanding that there is no Nazi teams or whatever they say. What is going on is actually the shelling of civilians, killing kids, killing children, shelling residential area. This is Nazism. This is what will definitely be considered by the international courts, and the international community will give the right meaning, the right decision on all those atrocities being underway now.
So you're not accepting also the position that Russia is targeting only army positions and military targets?
Russia clearly targeting civilians. Russia clearly shelling civilian areas, small cities, residential areas. There are tons of videos confirming specific hitting of residential areas, killed people, killed civilians. The number of civilians killed growing every day. You just can take a look at the video with a missile hit the very center of Kharkovo just yesterday, having killed civilians. Yesterday, the missile hit the Babin Yar Memorial, which is memorial in the memory of those Nazi atrocities 80 years ago. And this is something that can clearly be defined as a Nazi type of behavior. So we have to make no mistakes hearing Russian propaganda. Russian propaganda, misinformation, this is a weapon in the bloody hands of Russia, of Kremlin regime, fighting against not only Ukraine, fighting against the whole civilized world. So that means that propaganda, misinformation, lies, is all those things directed not only against Ukrainians, they directed against all the Europeans. So that means that weapon is being used in every single capital of Europe.
You named some countries in their response on the sanctions. I would like a comment about the response that Turkey has.
I'm not in a position to comment on any third country. As the ambassador to the Republic of Cyprus, I just want to make it clear that we are absolutely happy with the level of support we've been enjoying from the parts of the Republic of Cyprus, from the government, from the parliament, from specifically from ordinary Cypriots. Almost daily we got calls, telephone calls, messages from ordinary Cypriots, and almost every one of them making it very clear, and they saying that we feel your pain. This is absolutely important for us to understand, to perceive, to see that Cypriots are absolutely on our side on that, and this is what is important.
Yes, let me rephrase that. Okay, the response to the invasion was overwhelming for the major international community. Why do you think that the same response didn't happen when Turkey invaded Cyprus?
I wouldn't like myself to dwell or to speculate on that, but I just can bring something which I've already mentioned. There is some sort of genesis in the position of, in the perception of the West as far as the Russian aggressiveness is concerned. What we've been experiencing is a change in the position of many countries vis-à-vis Russia. Back in 2014, we devoted enormous efforts to persuade West that the Russian aggression has to be dealt with a new approach, with an absolutely strong approach. What we see now is, as I said, is a completely different approach, is completely different reaction from the part of the civilized world vis-à-vis Russian aggression. So this is a moment when the change has come in the whole approach, in the whole world with respect to what can be done and what should be done to stop Russia.
A window of hope.
And a window of hope. And with this said, I believe that the strength of the civilized world, the strength of the West will continue growing vis-à-vis Russian aggression, vis-à-vis any attempts to break the international law, to break all those principles that we've been fighting for. And this is specifically what is going on in terms of the aggression against Ukraine, brings not only the fear that there might be even more consequences against other countries, but this is the policies and aggressive practices that aim at breaking the existing world war rules. This is the threat for the whole system of international security, international law, and there should be no doubt for anyone that this is exactly the right time to take tough and strong decision, not to let our world get back into the Middle Ages. This is that much important, this is that much real, what we've been witnessing now.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.